Lord Acton famously said, "Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely." And it was on full display on October 25th when a conservative private member's bill that would have prevented a future federal government from imposing COVID-19 vaccine mandates on government employees or restricting unvaccinated Canadians from boarding public transit was defeated in the House of Commons. Bill C-278, also known as an Act to Prevent the Imposition by the Federal Government of Vaccination Mandates for Employment and Travel, received 114 yeas and 206 nay votes on October 25th. To his credit, Pierre Poilievre first introduced the private member's bill when he was running for the Conservative Party leadership in 2022. It was picked up by Conservative MP Dean Allison, who has been critical of COVID-19 vaccine mandates. On October 25th, Mr. Allison told the House of Commons that it was wrong to divide and discriminate against Canadians based on a personal medical decision, calling the vaccine mandates for COVID-19 heavy-handed. He went on to say, they wanted to exact some sort of punishment on folks who did not agree with their stance on imposing unscientific mandates that drove a wedge with families, friends, and neighbors. Families were torn apart because of the government's stigmatization of Canadians. This must never happen again, ever. During question period on October 25th, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said, Mr. Poilievre doesn't truly want to accept that over 80% of Canadians willingly got the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, my reply to that, Justin, would be how much of that 80% was driven on fear-mongering and presentation of an apocalyptic scenario that turned out to be far from reality. He has a hidden agenda driven by ideology, an ideology rooted in denying that the government had to act fast in a once-in-a-century moment to keep Canadians safe, Mr. Trudeau said. Well, Justin, I guess that means that the government of Sweden, who didn't follow the international community off the cliff on COVID response and were chastised for not doing it, well, I guess that government wasn't interested in the well-being of their citizens, right? But wait, Sweden is still standing, and for all accounts, their balanced approach, unlike the seize power at all costs approach, hasn't divided a nation nor financially crippled them. He continues to play divisive games to try and divide Canadians on a matter core to public health and public safety. We've always stood up for the safety of Canadians while he chooses to wear a tinfoil hat. Yes, how can I argue that with a government who champions programs such as MAID, and apparently doing quite well with that program, as 4% of Canadians have committed suicide. Yes, protecting the most vulnerable. According to a recent poll by Abacus Data, 55% of Canadians had no problem getting vaccinated for COVID-19, while 23% had some doubts about their safety, and 12% reluctantly got vaccinated, despite safety concerns. A total of 10% agreed with the view, I did not get vaccinated because I don't trust people who said they were safe. Now, by my math, that's still 45% of Canadians who have some to total doubts. And this while the full ramification of the vaccines are still trickling out. Remember, we have no long-term studies with respect to safety and efficacy. Every day that goes by is the study period. If I were a betting man, I would wager that these numbers will be decidedly different in 2 to 3 years as we learn more. And the responses from these people will, I believe, greatly differ. During C-278 debates on October 24th, Mr. Poilievre said the bill would target the unreasonable overreaches of the federal policy and unjustified abuses of federal government power. He said the bill followed the scientific evidence of COVID-19 vaccines and what they do, and responded to the evidence from the experience of the government's decision to exploit a public health situation for partisan political gain. Mr. Poilievre went on to say that the Prime Minister punished Canadians who chose not to get vaccinated for COVID-19 after previously saying the decision on whether to get them would be a matter of personal choice. He flip-flopped and said he would make it mandatory, and 3 days later he called an election and attempted to exploit that political moment in order to regain power, according to Poilievre. As Rahm Emanuel famously said, never let a crisis go to waste. And for power-hungry politicians like Justin, they've likely got it tattooed on their asses. The issue of mandatory COVID-19 vaccine was featured prominently during the 2021 election. In case you forgot, Justin put in place policies that barred unvaccinated Canadians from working in the federal government or boarding trains and planes. Then Conservative leader Erin O'Toole was opposed to mandatory vaccination for federal public servants and instead recommended rapid testing to allow the unvaccinated to keep their job. Now, during the last Conservative Party convention in September 2023, 68% voted in favor of a resolution that would have done away with vaccine mandates and that affirmed Canadians have the freedom and right to refuse vaccines. My only rebuttal to that, 68%, that's it? Pity. Anyway, I do appreciate you watching. Thank you very much. You can also follow me on my Rumble, my Locals account. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please do so. You can also follow me on Twitter at Camera612, and I will see you next time.